Tyrant here to give you a quick tour of my new tool, VMT, Virtual Mission Tools. We'll start with how to download it, and then we'll go over some basics of how to use it to display information about a campaign or a TE, and how to share that with your squad mates if you're flying online. So first thing is how to install it. Installing is pretty simple. You just need to download the tool. You can find the link to it in the BMS forums. If you go into the forum, there is a topic under community mods, under Tyrant's Virtual Mission Tools. You can just search for VMT if you want. Bring you to the thread. Go in here. Scroll down a little bit. You will see that there is an installation link. I keep this up to date, so as new versions come out, this will always be the latest place to get it. What you want to do is pick the one that's appropriate for your system. If you're not sure, you probably want the 64-bit one. Go ahead and click that and download the resulting file. Okay, I went ahead and downloaded that file. It's a zip file. I unzipped it. You'll open that up wherever you've extracted on your disk, and you look in there and you'll see there is a file in there called vmt.exe. If you double click that, that will launch VMT, and we can go from there. Once you've launched VMT, you're going to see a screen that looks like this. It's got two buttons, Load Mission and Load Briefing. We're going to talk about Load Mission first. Generally speaking, this is the one that mission creators are going to use, or if you're flying solo and you're interested in exploring the intel situation in your campaign, you use this one. Load Briefing we'll talk about in a minute. That is if you're going to hand out a briefing file to other people that are going to be participating in a flight that you've made. Let's start with this one. So we're going to click Load Mission. It's going to pop up our file explorer here, and we're going to be able to move that. We're going to be able to pick a mission. You can load a TE or a campaign file. Just pick one. I'll go ahead and pick a campaign that we fly sometimes. Grab this one, say Open, and it's going to start showing you some messages indicating that it's making progress towards loading the mission. This does take a little while. You can expect it to take 30 seconds or a minute, especially this last step, preparing views. If you get an error, you'll get a little red X there, and it'll give you a little link here that you can use to show the details. If that happens, go ahead and copy those details out of here and post it in the BMS forum in the VMT thread, and I will do my best to get that fixed for you. It really helps if you post those details. It really helps. Those bug reports are really helpful in me sorting out any bugs that might remain. VMT is kind of new, so likely there are a few bugs as people start using it in ways that I haven't. So really appreciate it if you send those in. Yeah. Okay, once VMT finishes loading the mission, you're going to see a window like this. This is your main window where you'll be spending most of your time looking around. It shows a couple things. On the left here is the map. That'll show the location of air bases, any weather that you're working with, bullseye, things like that. And then on the right are a series of controls. We're not going to go into everything. I want to point out a couple things, though, right away, which is that anything you see that has this dotted underline here, and actually let me go ahead and make the font bigger here. Make that. Normally it would be smaller than this, but for the video I'll make it a bit bigger to make it easier to read. Anything that has a dotted underline like this can be clicked, and it will bring up help about that feature. This is in here for just about everything. Sometimes it's a little blue question mark instead. Like this for a button, there's really no place I could put on here where you could click it for help, so there's a little icon next to it. But there's lots and lots and lots of help in the application about how to use it. Of course, you can always go over to the VMS forum and ask me questions there. So let's talk a little bit about what you might want to do here. First of all, notice that there are these tabs along the top, one for mission, one for map, air forces, flights, and weather. Again, we're not going to get into every single feature here. There's a lot in here. It would take a long time. I want to get through this quickly so you can get started. But basically, you're going to go in here and you're going to click things to display different information on the map. Let's maybe start with air forces. So this is where you're going to show information about air bases. And what I usually do is just go in here right away and click Show All. Now what that's going to do is it's going to put onto the map information about all of the air bases in the sim, restricted by these things. So for instance, right now, since this is checked, we're not showing any air bases that have no squadrons based at them. Similarly, we can do this where we can check only fighter, and now we'll see only air bases that have fighters in them, fighters stationed there. I'm going to go ahead and go to the map tab. Something else you probably want to do here. First of all, this colored information here, like these red and yellow and green overlays, that's the weather. We're not interested in the weather right now. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. So I go here into the display options for weather and just set that to none. Another thing I like to do is to change the brightness of the map. We can make that map dimmer or more towards white. Personally, I like to put it here usually when I'm looking at the map. And then because this is on a video and you probably can't read these, I'm going to go ahead and make the text size a bit bigger and make the icons a bit bigger, and that will make everything easier to see on the map. Kind of depends on your screen size and whether you've got older or younger eyes. But you have the ability to adjust that. So now what we can do is we can see, and what I'm doing here is I'm rolling the mouse wheel to zoom in, and I'm clicking and dragging to move the map around. And I can now start to get an idea of what's in the theater. I can see here that Suwon has 10 MiG-21s based at it, and that little bar there means that it is at 50% capacity. Seoul is completely shut down. That bar is totally white, but there are 10 MiG-29 alphas there, and if you are worried about that getting repaired, that might be something to keep in mind. Of course, we can always go to the Air Forces tab and say, don't show me air bases that are at 0% status, and Seoul will disappear. But this right here is kind of the primary way that I use to get the air picture, is to just get the air bases on the map, start looking at what threats there are, figure out where I'm going to be flying out of, zoom in to take a closer look if I need more detail on where things are positioned, or maybe kind of zoom out and see what's going on. Again, we're not going to go through every feature. There's a lot here. You've seen a little bit. Maybe one other thing I want to show you is you can display flights. So when you go to this flights tab, you're going to get the ability to see, the main thing here is this page, this list of flights. So we see all the flights that are up for the combatants that have been selected up here. So right now we're seeing flights for the U.S. and for South Korea. And then they're listed by call sign, how many aircraft are in there. So here, for instance, is a flight eyeball 1. It's a CSAR. It consists of 2 UH-1Ns. We can see some more information over here. It's coming out of Camp Walker. Takeoff time was 17:53, etc., etc., etc. Now you'll notice that as I'm hovering my mouse here, it's turning yellow, and then on the map, it's kind of blinking. If I wanted to lock that flight in, I can click it, and now it will stick around. It'll always be on the map, even when my mouse is not over that flight. I can sort of quickly run my mouse through here to get a sense of where flights are. That might be good to run through and see. Is there anybody going up to Suwon right now? Oh, that guy's going kind of close to Suwon. That's an AI strike. Maybe that's kind of interesting. I'll check that guy. Also, a lot more information if you click the eye. What that will do is it'll pop up this detailed list of all of the steer points, the ordnance that those aircraft are carrying, and a bunch of other information that will expand over time. There's a lot more things I want to add to VMT, but I'm just going through the basics. All right, so really this is the primary extent to it. There's a weather bit as well. VMT is the replacement for WeatherGen, so there's a whole bunch of weather functionality here. I'm going to refer you to the the WeatherGen tutorials for how to use all that stuff, because it's really the evolution of WeatherGen. So everything that WeatherGen did, VMT does as well, and those tutorials remain a pretty good explanation of how to use this. Really, the only thing I want to talk about now in kind of this overview is this button right here, Save Briefing. So what this is going to do is if I click this, it's going to ask me where to save this briefing file. So you notice it has an extension of VMTB. Don't know if you can see that. I can go ahead and save that. And what that has done is saved a file that I can now distribute to other pilots that are participating in my mission. And what they're going to be able to do is they're going to be able to come back to this window when they open VMT. They're going to be able to say load briefing. They're going to be able to pick that VMTB. And when they open that, it'll do a similar thing. And it'll bring them to a window that I'm not going to make you wait to see it since it's so similar. It's going to be a lot like this one. The big differences are they're not going to be able to control the weather. They're not going to be able to see into the future to see what weather is coming up, although there is a forecast feature. They're not going to be able to see information about flights for sides that you didn't let them see. So here, when we save this, we said, I only want to show you flights for the ROK in the US. Didn't click Japan, didn't click DPRK. So anybody that opens that VMTB is only going to see listed in their flights tab flights for the US and the ROK, so you have control over what they can see. So that's really the flow, is you would come into VMT, you would look around, examine the situation, save a briefing, distribute that briefing to your other pilots if you're working with anyone else, and then go fly. Really, this tool, there, that's just popped up because it finished loading the VMTB, and actually we can take a look at that real quick. And we'll go here, we'll notice that on the Flights tab, you notice they have no ability to select any of the other combatants. So that's what I was talking about earlier. So really that's the idea here, is to make a is to make a better tool for viewing the battlefield situation. Notice right now we don't have any ground forces. That's coming eventually. A whole bunch of other features I'd like to add, but I thought it was useful enough at this point to distribute. So hope you find it useful too. We've been making heavy use of it at the first VFW. Would love to get your feedback on this, things you don't like, things that aren't working for you, things that you'd like to see in it. You can always click here. This link will take you right back to the BMS forum and the VMT thread. So it's a great place to come, and it's actually the official place to go and get support for VMT. Again, I'm Tyrant, and I hope you find the tool useful. Thanks.